Hi there and welcome to this week's episode of Central Online. It's a special day, it's the eve of Valentine's Day, and so for this special holiday we have a very special episode for you. We interviewed 3 couples in the life of the church and asked them various questions on the topic of love. Marriage, God's love for us, longevity in marriage, and various other things. And it is an amazing episode. There's a lot of laughs in this. You are bound to enjoy it. So let's head straight into this week's episode.
Hi everyone, I'm Craig. I'm from West Hill originally, and I moved up to Fraserburgh about 15 odd years ago.
And I'm Lynn. I am from Fraserburgh, and I am married to Craig, and we have a son who is 12, and we have a daughter who is 8, Logan and Andy Grace.
Well, I'm Julia.
How are you?
I was born in Walthamstow, but lived in various parts of England until we moved up here. I've got one sister, 4 years younger than me, a mum who's still living and a father who isn't. You?
Oh, I'm Ian Moyer. Born in Grantham in Lincolnshire. I moved to Leicester. While I was in Leicester, I met Julia. And then we moved up to Scotland. That's a very abbreviated.
After spending quite a lot of time in Leicester, didn't we?
Yeah.
Got married in Leicester.
Yeah, got married.
Had the children in Leicester, and then 2003 we moved up here, didn't we?
Yeah.
And now we're living in Veraliki.
Yeah.
Cottoners. Cottoners to the core.
Oh no, the Cottoners to the core. Yeah, well, we've got 3 children, Samuel, Rebecca and Lydia. And Samuel, who's married to Sophie, so we've now got a granddaughter.
Yeah, it's a girl.
Sophia May, who's lovely. She is lovely. Yeah. And we got. I mean, our 3 children are great. We got three great children. Yeah, really.
Take after me.
Okay, so I'm Priscilla Buchan, and I would have been Margaret and Love's Quine in a meeting. For them it's been in a meeting for a long time. And I'm married to Billy Buchan here for 38 years coming up.
Well, as just Priscilla said, I'm Billy Buchan, and my mum and dad's Betty and Charlie. My dad, he's passed away, but my mum goes to meeting, and we have 4 children. Bethany, Xander, as you can, sometimes he plays in the church, and William and David Andrew, and I'm a fisherman, and yeah, that's me, I can. Happy days. I come for the Broch, for Fraserburgh, I can.
So we first met, we went to the same church, we went to Wraithen East. Craig was the drummer in the corner, and I started to attend that church, and we just got to ken each other as friends first, really. And that's where I started, out at Wraithen East.
And how we met, right. Interesting.
Well, you forgot yesterday.
No.
Yes, you did, because I said it was when we were at the Bible week, and you said, oh no, it wasn't, it was then we went off.
Well, I first noticed Julia
Oh, here we go.
at Dale's Bible Week.
It was Wales, wasn't it?
I first saw you in Dale's.
Yeah, but you didn't notice me then because I had glasses
I took
on.
a photo. I took a photograph of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1984. And that's where we first noticed
No, I
Julia.
don't think it was 1984. We got engaged in 1984.
It was 1984.
Surely we didn't get engaged that quick, did we?
We did.
I first met Priscilla, I used to buy down the road for Priscilla, And I used to go into one school and she went to the other. But then when we started going to academy, I used to walk past her house every day. And I noticed this quine, I thought, oh, she's alright, just right, But she was a bit of a, she was just shy, or she was snobby, she never taken my own, I tried to take her own, but she never taken my own. Priscilla.
Oh aye. Well, mine's is a wee bit different, which nobody will be expecting, and I could never mind the name. I had to phone my work to find out the name, but I met Billy, a long story, in the Forbes Arms Hotel. We was out with the hairdressers a night, and I wasn't allowed really to go. If my mum and dad had kent where I'd been, I would have gotten absolutely killed. But I was out there, and I only was out maybe an hour, and I wasn't comfortable. I was like, oh me, if anybody finds this out, and then along came Billy, and I think he kent I was a wee bit uncomfortable, and he offered to take me home.
I was definitely the first person to make a move, and it was a bit random. My car had died that week, and for some reason I decided to go up till then and tell her my car died, and that kind of broke the ice.
It didn't. He just came up and sat down. I was with Lois West, and he just sat down and said, oh, Chico's died. And I was just like, oh my goodness, who is Chico? And Chico turned out that it was his car. And it was the first conversation that we had, which I don't know if you would class it as a conversation.
No, but it worked.
It did, well, obviously worked.
Yeah.
It did work.
Oh, definitely you.
Yeah, I suppose so, but very tentatively.
Well, I started wearing contact lenses, and he came up to me and he said, have you had a miracle, or are you wearing contact lenses?
That's true, yeah. Because Julie used to have very strong glasses, very strong, weren't they? Yeah, that was the chat-up line.
But
Well, I made the first move because I kept Priscilla's chum, Jane, and I spotted him, and I thought, oh, this is my chance, to see if she'll speak to me this time, And so I went over and spoke to Jane,
I'd never seen him in my life before,
She said
even
she'd
though I
never seen
bed 2 or 3 doors down for him.
Me 6 feet tall, and I walking past
Never
every
ever,
day,
I could honestly say I'd never seen that man in my life. That's true.
So, but anyway, I got spinging, and then it went on for there,
In all honesty, no, we're not big into Valentine's Day, which is a shambles, but
Every day is memorable in the 5E household, so
Yeah.
you didn't need a Valentine's Day. We were going out for our supper.
yeah, we used to frequent the van car for our supper all the time
Yeah.
when we were young and free. But now with kids, we don't get out so often, but we try and spend at least one night a week at home with all like our work aside and things like that. So we try and dedicate at least one night as best we can. It doesn't always happen, but that was one thing we do try.
But we're no huge Valentines.
No.
I'd rather have the money than 12 dozen roses, to be quite honest with you. So no, we're no massive
No, we're easy
romantic
pleased. A
people.
tube of Pringles and Netflix, and we're happy.
Easy pleased folk.
Yeah.
last year, I got some roses. That was a bombshell. Must have had a brainstorm.
Yeah, guilt.
No, I've had some lovely Valentines. I used to get big cards. Do you remember the big padded cards? You used to be able to buy. You don't get them now.
No.
No, we have. I think gradually as you get older it sort of fizzles out, doesn't it, really, Valentine's Day?
Yeah, I remember we went out for a nice meal once, didn't we?
Yeah,
Once.
It was a special Valentine's meal, that was nice.
Yeah,
That was in Leicester, wasn't it?
yeah, that was Leicester. So it's a long time ago.
But it was nice, it's lovely.
Yeah, memorable.
Together, probably nae really, I would say, because Billy was off in a war. But my memorable Valentine's Day would be hairy pencil cases with black bookies full of verses, poems and verses. Oh, I forgot, I was going to get a verse now. I'll tick in. Oh, I've got a verse. and down to Priscilla Edwards, and we all wrote out our Valentines like a whole night, hearing it giggles and laughs, and then we delivered them in cars and run away fast.
I used to, well, I was away fishing a lot, I guess, so I wasn't at home a lot. I was away from Monday to Sunday.
And I think you was ever home on Valentine's Day.
So, but I used to send a flower in a car, like, but when I used to come home at a weekend, shy fecht out much, what are you buying that flowers for? I could have gotten a bag of earrings for the bairns.
Bag of earrings?
Like that.
That roses is a fortune, a bag of earrings for a...
So what I ended up doing is I said, right, I'll start buying her a sweetie again. So I started buying her a sweetie, then she says, that'll make my fat, again. So I started buying her a bag of earrings. No, I never. I gave up.
Separate rooms.
Separate houses.
Best not to talk to each other because that way you can't argue.
We didn't really fight because we didn't expect each other.
No, we just.
No, that's not true.
No, communication is obviously a big thing. Asking each other how their day was, just simple things like that goes a long way. And just trying to keep the little things special, like coming home from your work. How was your day? Things like that, and then just enjoying the kids together as well. Because I think love develops as you get married and have children. It presents itself in a different way. So every day can be different. It can be a challenge, but yeah, try and keep things going, keep each other laughing anyway.
Yeah, laughter. I think you have to be best chums. I think for me anyway. When you're younger, you think it's all about the roses and you think it's about all the outward gestures or the love and affection, but it's nae. I think longevity in your marriage comes from caring each other, being good chums with each other, communicating with each other all the time, which isn't easy. It's not easy, and you just have to keep working at it. And hard work and just being best pals, I think, is more. And having things in common will help you, and just to keep everything going, because it does become a bit mundane. It's not all the glitz and glamour of the big wedding day. People change. He didn't look like this when I married him 15 years ago, and I didn't look like this. So it has to be more than all that big gestures and grand gestures. It's about communicating, working together as a team, and just keeping on the same path, really.
Yeah, I think a good balance as well, work-life balance as well, because I think we've both come from families where we have hard-working parents, but they never sacrificed on the time that they spent with us, and I think that's something we've always. Yes, it's good to have material things and money and good jobs and all the rest of it, but I don't think that ever replaces a good relationship, and I think sometimes that can be something that can be detrimental to your relationship if you work too hard. Yes, you have to do it now and again, but I think if your focus is just work, you slowly forget about the things that God's put in your heart and things that you should be looking after, i.e. your wife, your family, and wider friends and things like that.
Well, we've been married, let's get this right, 36 years. Yeah, that's
85.
Right. 85 we were married.
85 years, it feels like. No, it was 1985, wasn't it, we were married?
Yeah, 1985. I think a secret is having a laugh. does help. Being humorous, being able to laugh, not only at each other, but at yourself.
Oh dear.
I think the thing is that sharing a vision, sharing a hope, believing that God is with us and that we want to pursue God. I think that has been a centre of our marriage, is that we've always wanted to be where God wants us to be. And in a sense, we're almost pursuing God, trying to find what He wants for us, and we are united in that. We've had some adventures, haven't we?
Oh yeah.
Oh
Few.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But just pursuing God and pursuing His will. Yeah, I think that is. It's got to be. You put God first, basically, and yeah.
I was never at home, as I said, to Valentine, so,
Maybe that helped.
so it's a true saying that absent makes a heart grow fonder, I reckon, so I think it's that. Give me maybe in a one I think. And I got to learn in life to hold my tongue, I reckon. For Priscilla, I was on a high horse, I used to hold my tongue.
Check.
But I mean, our first ever time, after we got married, my first time I came back for the fishing, and she was marking my supper, I reckon.
That was in Gamery.
That was in Gamery, and I sat down at the table and she would do my supper, and I turned around and says, I don't like it, I reckon. It was my first meal she'd ever cooked, so she up with the
chicken a la
plate
king.
and scooped it into the bin, and that's all, never
No
did again.
supper. Finish.
But I was reading about it last night, it was in the Daily
Had
Bread.
it.
It says, how to strengthen your marriage. And it says, understanding comes by listening. Love is about listening more and talking less. Listening long enough for hidden emotions to be expressed. Listen carefully enough to gain understandings. And listen accurately as you can access your spouse's true needs. So I learnt the hard way. I learnt to hold my tongue again.
And if you like chicken a la king new,
I do, I
see,
love it.
that's it.
That's a bit of a massive question, isn't it?
Think we've got a few, but
Quite a few.
the obvious one that springs to mind is obviously most of you know when Logan was born it was quite a difficult time, but I've obviously had my health problems as well, so I think equally we've had to carry each other through certain things, but obviously not on our own. God's been there with us, but there's been times where we've predominantly probably had to carry the weight of the world or the weight of the family on our shoulders at different times, but God has obviously been there all the way, and I think that's obviously a special thing, and that probably is like our greatest faith moments, is just putting our trust in God that He'll take us through the other side.
Yeah, I think like for me, like my miracle moment, like as Craig said about Logan wasn't breathing when he was born. He had like about 10 minutes of CPR. It was absolutely horrendous, and we sat down and got a really bad prognosis for him when we went into the hospital. And I vividly mind driving home, and we didn't speak, and that's why I really think communication is so important if you're a couple and you really need to speak, because there was a long time then, because there's no marriage that's perfect, and we certainly had like an easy time with it, but we didn't communicate at that time. I went away and I dealt with it, and I had all the guilt, and I just felt that everything was my fault. Craig went away and he had probably all the same feelings, but we never spoke about it, and we kind of just went on, and then it came that we both kind of broke down at the same time, and we found out that when we started speaking that we both felt the same, and it was just realising that we had to speak it through. We had to be a team, because we had a baby that we didn't ken would survive. We didn't ken what his future held for him, and I think that maybe that's probably why we have to laugh a lot, because when you really sit down and think, our journey over 15 years of marriage, it hasn't been great health-wise, and Logan just kind of blew everything out of water when he was born. So it's just, but God, when we were going in the ambulance, you got, be still and know that I am God. And that verse has stuck with me through my 12 years. I have probably wept more than I've opened my mouth and worshipped the Lord over the last 12 years for Logan. And now, 12 years on, for Looney that his cerebral palsy, his brain damage, he's autistic, and he's He's lived most of his life in church underneath a stairs or underneath a chair and up against a wall and wouldn't speak to nobody. And my miracle is on a Friday night, because people like Sam came round about him and started making relationship with him and started spending time with him. I can come in on a Friday night. We both help at youth, and come in on a Friday night and Logan's in the middle of Abdi with his hands up. I don't care if he kens what he's praising, and I'm not really bothered. I don't care what his comprehension is, I don't care what it is, but he's sitting there and he's praising the Lord, and he's in youth, he comes to life groups and he wants to be there. There's no forcing him. He's never ever wanted to do anything. He permanently lives in a bedroom, but he wants to come into church now. And it's just, I do believe that all the years of weeping and praying and the sacrifices that we had to make for a couple. I had to stop working financially, we were really struggling, and we gave up a lot of things. We gave up a lot of things and gave up a lot of material things, and now we can sit. And I think they say that God catches our thing. God catches every tear, and God sees every bit of grief and every bit of mourning and every weeping. God sees that, but then he turns it into good. He'll bless you for the faith that you've had and the faith that we kept on believing. Whenever it was just, every prognosis was just horrendous, but we just kept believing. And I ken maybe a lot of folk looking on maybe thought we were being negative and fit heavy a bit, because I used to just greet all the time. I was like a Christmas card. I was always greeting and just always greeting and just trying to understand what was going on. But I mean, I am looking 12 years down the line, and I do believe I'm seeing a miracle. I see it, especially in here. I never thought that would happen. Did you?
No, but one thing that I've always remembered that Pastor Steve said was he was doing a sermon once, I think it was on disciplining your children, something along the lines of that. And he said something like, don't complain when your kid's 13 if you haven't taught them it when they were 3.
Yeah.
And I suppose that goes to the sowing and reaping principle. Now, we've obviously been fortunate that Logan and Andy want to come to church. They want to be part of the youth setup. But I think, yeah, we don't really make any secrets that we have sacrificed some things for our kids. But then again, that comes back to our parents as well. They've done exactly the same. So it probably, in a sense, we've been really blessed with examples. We're obviously aware that some people maybe don't have that example, but we've always been blessed with that. So it's kind of been something that's been ingrained with us. So finding faith and finding these miracles, they may become a little bit easier to us just because we've had people that have been in our lives, not just our families, but our friends as well, and people within the church over many years have been there for us as well. So I think that helps to build a strong foundation for your marriage as well when you look to other people.
Well, the fact that we've actually got children and got 3 children is a miracle. I had a few problems, and I was given the option, well, almost the definite option of a hysterectomy at the age of 29. The consultant was quite, adamant, but he said, unless you really want to conceive, and I said I did. So he said, well, okay, we'll see how the operation goes. And when I came round, he said that it had gone really well and they hadn't done the hysterectomy. And it was about a year later, I think, that we had Samuel, wasn't it? It wasn't a long time
Probably
after
2
that.
years after.
I'm not quite sure. After that operation, I had to go on various drugs, didn't I, and things. And then we had Samuel, and then once that, we had Rebecca 2 years later, and then I was told I wouldn't have any more by the GP, or it's highly unlikely, and then 3 years later we had Lydia. So, that was the fact that we got a house full of children eventually was quite something, really.
Yeah.
So that is really the major thing. But there've been lots of other little things, haven't there?
Yeah, lots of
Sort
things.
practical sort of instances, and
I think God, if you want to pursue God, then He will direct your paths. But sometimes the way He directs your paths is not the way you expect. But He'll get you where He wants you. He'll direct you, and it may not be smooth, but if you want to get there, if you want to be in His will, then He will get you there. Yeah.
I've seen a few kind of stormy stories I think I've seen, and I have told them online before, or at church, but a miracle would have been when I was younger. When I used to go out to weekends, I wasn't saved, and my pals, went up to my pal's house every Friday or Saturday to pick him up, and I went away down the town. But his mum was preaching tells you, you'll have to get to meet in the morning, you'll have to get to meet on Sunday, can it? And I was, I'll never get to meeting again, we'll never get to meeting again. And God's always got a plan for your life. And a miracle, what happened to me, I was at the same place I met Priscilla the Forbes
Arms Hotel.
Forbes Hotel that night. And I just come out and I just looked up to the sky, and I says, if there's a God, there must be something better than this again. And I would say within 2 or 3 weeks, God supplied a miracle, supplied an angel, the love of my life, Priscilla. And then it went down for there, and I got saved through it. Like, and this is me, never get a meeting, so never say never. God's got a plan for your life, again. And that's my kind of miracles to a story, again. Because since we're speaking about love this weekend, again.
It's the Lord's never-ending grace, let's be honest.
The Lord gives you new mercies and new grace every day. How does your... And again? Well, you caned it.
You're taking far too long to answer that question. Am I that bad?
No, I'm thinking. No, I do think because when we met, and it's a very old-fashioned term, like we were equally yoked. We were equally yoked, and I did not go in lightly to getting married. I was a bit older, and I really wasn't looking for it, and I think it was just really prayed that it was the right thing to do, and I think that just, you can, that the Lord has put you together. We can that, because we didn't, honestly, I was thinking when we were asked to do this, I thought, oh my goodness, why ask us? We didn't really fight a lot, do we?
No, dear.
No, but I didn't think we didn't hear like
no, we don't.
arguments.
I mean, it sounds really superficial to say that, but we don't. We rarely argue. I think we see the funny side in life, but I think equally we know that we're supposed to be together, and
I think it's to do with balance.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I would worry, and again, the Lord changed it inside out. The Lord kent what I needed. I was not like, I'm the easiest. I mean, I'm not the easiest, but it was the Lord kent what I needed, and He's more laid back than.
I think that's clear in a lot of people's marriages. Though you could probably pick out a number of people in church where you can see that people balance each other out.
Yeah, and I think that's so. The Lord, I mean, if you definitely gone for somebody with the same faith and the same interests and the same way of thinking, and so the Lord is. He also must say a sense of humour. I mean, if you've heard his jokes, there's things I have to put up with. So, but the Lord gives you a lot of grace, doesn't He?
Preach it.
Preach it. He gives you a lot of grace to just put up with each other.
Yeah.
And also him working full time. I hardly see him, so that's a good thing enough.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a verse which spoke to me when I was quite a young Christian, so that's a long time ago, and it always amazed me that when Paul was writing to the Ephesians, he talked about husbands, and it says, husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. And I thought, wow, I thought that's amazing that the Lord is expecting us to love our wives. I mean, I had no girlfriend or anything then, but it just remarked, I was so surprised that God loved us as we love one another, as a husband loves his wives, then God loves us in that way. But his love, he totally gave himself up, poured his life out that he might win his bride. And I thought, wow, that is amazing. But now when you get married and you become a husband, then you think, wow, the Lord is expecting a lot of me, for me to love my wife in the same way that Jesus loved the church, and the same way that Jesus loved me, I'm expected to love my wife. So that is a challenge. That is a big challenge, and certainly I don't always fulfill it. Do I, wifey?
No.
But it's there as a benchmark.
The spirit is willing.
The spirit is willing.
Often weak.
Oh, very weak, yeah. But then the bit that talks about what wives are supposed to do.
Obey, and I'm quite good at that, aren't I?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. But that's the thing. I think the thing is that the bit about the wives is really nothing to do with me. That's not my concern. So I don't say to my wife, "Look, wife, you must obey." You know, no, I don't do that. But I just my job is to love as Jesus loved, or try to. And that's the thing, is to try and maintain that Jesus and that he is at the centre of your marriage. That's what I try and do. Don't always succeed. Not very often, really, but.
Well, I would say it where faith in the Lord changes us. And we need the fruits of the Spirit. And the fruits of the Spirit, if that comes out in your life, because the world's things is gone, because Jesus went all the way to the cross, and that's all gone. And we should be not living for ourselves, we should be living for Him, and trying to be like Him. So I thought Rachtawa would be, is it Hebrews? It's Hebrews 5:22, and it's the fruits of the Spirit, which is Fi'yaki and joy, peace, patience, all that kind of. So there's 9, and if that is in your life, then that shows through. Aye, so if these things comes out, the fruits of the Spirit comes out in you, then can it makes you a nicer person. To be like Jesus, we should try to be like Him, and gentleness, faithfulness, self-control, all these things should help in a marriage and help you see things. It's not about us anymore. It's about trying to be like Him and about thinking about others.
This is a modern Bible now, but for folk that reads their Bible like it, the Bible teaches and helps you in your faith to love your spouse, I think, like it. And there's a lot of life story, a lot of things in here to help you through your marriage and everything like it. And if you study your Bible, there's like, for instance, Ephesians 5:25. For husbands, this means love your wives just as Christ loved the church. He gave up his life for her. And then it says in Genesis 2:24, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And it also says about love in Corinthians 1, chapter 13, verse 4, and it says, love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It's not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoings, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hope all things, endure all things, and love never ends. And God's promises. And I mean, if you didn't hear the Bible and that, you would be understanding in the world's things, and then sometimes maybe you'd make rash move at different things, I can, but for the Bible tells you why the Lord does it, I can, and that helps you to love like the Lord and I can.
But we're only human. We do have faith sometimes. And I mind we had a fete and I went down to my mum's. And I'd had enough, he'd been away for ages and ages. And he'd come in and I says, oh, it's your parents, I'm going to walk my mum's for a filey. And I went down to my mum's and she says, what you doing here? And I says, oh, I'm just I want to get back up, she says, and look after your man. So I didn't get naked down here either, said to get back home. Oh, good.
I used to
It's
say, be good to
easy.
your man, Priscilla, be good to your man. It's a fine wife.
Good. So needless to say, Billy got on with in-laws.
I think as individuals, again, it comes back to probably it's got to be the foundation. It's got to be, I suppose we often say that you go to God in the good times and not in the bad times, and I think trying to get that instilled in your life and make him the foundation is really important. Obviously I work in architecture, foundations is a big thing to me, but if you build on strong foundations, the building can go higher and higher and higher, and there's no limit to it. So, but I think that the key is to make God the foundation, build on him rather than try and sort out the problems as they come your way.
As an individual, for me, what does God's love mean for me? God's love actually amazes me. I'm amazed that it still amazes me. I think I gave my life to the Lord when I was 23, and it still amazes me many years on that God sent his son to die for somebody like me. And I think his love is just, it's unfathomable what he does for us as individuals. But God's love, it says in 1 Corinthians 13, and it's about like love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonour others, it's not self-seeking, it's not easily angered. And I think, especially for couples, if I go into couples, it says it does not keep a record of wrongs. And I would say if you're in a couple and you love each other, do not be keeping a record of wrongs. When you hear your argument or you hear your disagreement, and it's not just as a couple, it should be for your life. Once it's done, it's done. You draw a line under it and you keep on going. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects. And that's through everything I've been through in my life, for all the changes, for all the mistakes I've made, and for all the times that I've shouted why, and sometimes and have doubted, because I think you wouldn't have been normal if you didn't doubt. All that times, I mean, God's always protected me, and he's kept me safe, and he's kept my family safe, and so our love is just amazing. He always trusts, always hope. And it says love never fails. And then when you go at the end of what chapter in 1 Corinthians 13, it says, now these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love. And it's massive. I mean, God's love for us is just ridiculous. When you just kind of took it in, that somebody, like we have a son, and I mean, you're somebody's son, and can you imagine, like, just, okay, go and die on a cross for you? It's just ridiculous love that he has for us. And so as a couple, he just...
So when the Bible speaks about being like a three-corded strand, it's not easily broken. But for it to not be easily broken, you need the three elements of it, and I think that's key. And that's a continual challenge. It's easy to sit here and say God's the centre of our marriage and blah blah blah, but that is the challenge. It's not just what I'd say is make God the centre of your life, regardless if you're single, a couple, or yeah, that is the big challenge: is keep God right at the centre.
Which isn't easy. You're very true. It's not easy. Because how much times do you get a bill in or you get a medical report and it's not what you thought it was going to be, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? Oh my goodness, what's going on? And you question nothing. And then I have found with me, I'll have a couple of days that I'll, especially we stuff that with him with Logan and probably diagnoses with him with Craig, I'll have like a 3-day time that I'll just have like a moment, and I'll just be like, oh my goodness, what is going on? What is going on? And I'm not good. I didn't think I'm good at praying, and I would speak very normally when I'm speaking to God, and I'm like, if it's happening, and I get all this, and then it's the in Proverbs that sits at our front door, and it's lean not in your own understanding, and God will direct your paths, and it's dinna hae worries, and I think that is really important. So you'll hear God will be like, and he, although it's not easy, you always go back to him, and he just puts us peace. And as I said earlier, be still and know that I am God, because if nothing's gone wrong in the world and stuff, your barons are just wrecking your house, you've got a man that's cracking jokes that aren't really funny, you know what I mean? And you're sitting there and you're just, things just gone crazy. The washing's never done. And all that, and that's just normal little stuff. It's not nothing massive, but I mean, and yet I just can't be still. I'm in control of all this, and that is just the most. I wouldn't have envisioned myself getting married. I didn't envision myself ever being a mom. And when I look at what I have, and I look how blessed I am, and what we've come through, we are our stuff, and just can be still. God is in the middle of it all, and God is in control. Forever, whether you're married or you're not married or forever, if you've got God in your life and you're born again, you've repented of your sin, and you come to the cross, and you just can, God is in control, and don't worry about stuff. And if you're both on the same page, if you're both singing off the same hymn sheet, you'll be all right. I mean, not perfect whatsoever. Quite jovial and not really perfect at all. We've come across quite holy, but we're not.
No, we're a shambles.
We're an absolute shambles. If we mind to say grace at a table, I'm chuffed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we didn't shout out or anything, but I think we're quite grounded and we're quite secure in our faith in it. We just came for we stand.
Yeah.
We came for we stand with God and with each other, and we just pray that our parents can look on, and when we're working with the youth and they can look on and see how a married couple can be, because it's not. That would never be false. It's a spade's a spade. Nothing's perfect. Nothing's perfect. There's never a filter. I mean, it's hard work, but if you put God in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and build your children about him, you'll be all right. He'll look after you.
Well done. It's been nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
I suppose it is, as an individual, it is an individual love.
Yeah.
But because you know when you look back at your life that God has always had his hand on it, and that he knows you like even more than your husband knows you, really. There's things that the Lord knows about you, you know, that, no, that doesn't sound very good, does it?
It's all right. Well, it's true.
But there's things, you know, that the Lord knows about your past and everything, and they're just mundane sort of things, really. But when you look back yourself, you think, oh yeah, the Lord was there, you know, with me and helped me in that instance, and, you know, protected me in that instance and everything. And then, I don't know, about as a couple, I suppose that's the fact that he's brought two individuals together.
I know,
that's the
two
thing.
total strangers together.
Two totally different people.
Yeah, very different. Blended us as one.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Like a cappuccino and a... Oh dear.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah.
It's just knowing God's care, isn't it, really, and knowing that He's got His hand on your life, and knowing it individually, but then as you come a couple, you know it sort of together, sort of thing. I think that's it, really.
I think also that it's knowing that God does love you as a couple, as individually and as a couple, and it's just letting the love of God lead us, or knowing He loves us, and we're following on after Him, or trying to. We want to. We want to be, to do His will. I think the eternity thing, looking past life into eternity, and hoping that our life together is laying up treasures in heaven. That's the thing, really.
I remember our wedding vows that we did. Do you remember that? It was rather nice. It was till death parts us, or the Lord returns.
Yeah.
In either way, until we are forever with the Lord.
Yeah.
And I don't know who decided to do that. It was Fred, I think. But it was just a nice. It was a nice, way of putting it, really.
Yeah.
Well, God's love means everything to us, and the love that He had, it put Jesus on the cross, His only Son, and you just can't help but be in awe with that, and it a peace that you get for that as well, to ken the Lord has given us all for us. Ken what love it He gave us all. We just love Him, and God's love will hopefully take in our houses as well, and show our families God's love as well. If it is in us and comes out for us, should be about Jesus. What do you say?
Well,
I'm a bit of revolt kind, but the preacher himself will take over.
The preacher.
It's enough a lot to say, isn't it, Mark?
I'm looking at my notes, sorry. But
your notes.
See this, well, you have to, when you get nervous. When I was thinking about that, I thought about Bethany, my children, when I used to go out fishing all the time, Bethany just used to run to the door, when her dad come home, and you got a great big bows fair, and just a recht loving bows. And I mind in the time she was running out the garage door and jumped at my arms, and I lifted her up. Me being so tall, I banged her head in the garage door, and I thought, oh my God, he's kind of.
She was a bit unconscious of peer creator.
But new Bethany's got she's got her husband now, and she's got an Ezra. That's her first love now. They still love her dad, and she still has a love for her dad. But the grandchildren, it's new. The grandchildren runs to you new, and they give you that loving bows and everything. But what I'm trying to say is, God's love, it never changes. It never changes. Whatever you're going through, or whatever situation, and nothing can separate us from His love.
Nothing.
Sometimes we may always feel loved by those around us, but the truth is, God's love is unconditional. He doesn't love us because of anything we do or we don't do. He just loves us. We can't buy His love or get rid of it, because once you've Jesus in your heart, once you've Jesus in your heart, nothing can separate us from His love. And if you look at it, it's Romans 8:38 and 39. That's where you get that verse. Nothing can separate us from God's love. And I just a bit of advice today. If you're listening on here today and you're feeling you're unloved, there's no greater love than Jesus Christ.
That's right.
He loved us so much that He died on a cross for us, for you and for me, so we can have eternal life. So if you haven't got that love today, I urge you to seek God today, to take Jesus into your heart again, and He will be a loving God to you again, a loving, caring God.
Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you to everyone who shared. And if you haven't yet gotten your Valentine's Day gift, I think Tesco is still open. There's still time to get down there, get your chocolates, get your cards, get your various things for your spouse. There's still time. But that's all for us this week. We'll see you next week.